It's now 1800. Call the meeting to order. First thing we have, citizens communication. Do we have any citizens communication? The library board welcomes public comment on items relevant to the Pflugerville Public Library. Public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the library board. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. All right. Has everybody had a chance to read last month's minutes? Do I have a motion to approve said minutes?
Yes, motion.
Holly was first. Do I have a second? Okay. Thank you very much. Our discussion only topics. The Youth Advisory Council with Trista Evans, the city secretary. Welcome.
Camera's right there,
Ask
so.
them what they want.
So I think I'll briefly introduce our Youth Advisory Council. It's a program that we do once a year as much as we can, obviously that's 5 years. So what we do is we invite seniors in the surrounding of Pflugerville High Schools to come join us. Youth Advisory Council. So this is actually the mayor's youth council. We take them around to all of our board meetings. You guys are our second meeting. They went to Parks last month. And then they learn about what the boards do, sort of your roles in the city as volunteers. And then also get the corresponding staff return review. So later this month, we'll be meeting with Jennifer to talk about the internal processes and how we all interconnect with each other. So I got 2 of them here tonight. Obviously, our seniors are very, very busy. So we kind of get rotating bases on who can join us. So I guess what I would like from you guys a little bit is kind of, you talk about what the board does and why you joined the board. Then I've got Jaden and Caitlin back here, and if they have any questions, this is also their turn.
Sure. I guess I'll start, if that's okay. I'm the chair of the library board, Danya Nachek, and I do this because I believe so unbelievably firmly in education and having the right to read whatever you want and getting the answers that you're interested in. A growing mind is the best thing that ever was. And I've always wanted to encourage that in my own child. I loved it when my librarians and my teachers let me go look stuff up. You guys have Google now. We had encyclopedias, but still, that was the greatest thing, is learning something new. So, if this is the way that I can help that to continue and help my library to continue and get the funding they need and things like that, then I'm thrilled to do so.
Should we go around the table, everybody?
Sure.
I joined because I'm a former English teacher and I am just not doing that anymore. And so part of it was I wanted to be connected to the community and also connected to books and reading and sharing information. I echo what Dawn said about having access to that information. I want our community to thrive. I want to see our library grow, and I wanted to just kind of be a part of that planning process and see kind of the insider scoop on that. And I think it's really important also to just give back to your community and be, you can't complain about something if you don't take part, right, or take action. So I wanted to make sure that I was engaged.
I have 5 kids that are school age, and so we spend a lot of time at the library. We've checked out a lot of books, thousands of dollars worth of savings just by having the library here in the community. And so I signed up just, I don't know, as a way to give back, I guess, because the library is such a great thing for our community. And so I'm very appreciative of the services, everything. So that's why I joined.
Hi. I, just like everybody else before me, wanted to give back to the community. And this is also the city's crown jewel, the best thing there is about the city of Pflugerville, in my opinion. And I know because I sat here and wrote a book for 2 years before I retired. And I said, that's a place I want to help and want to be a part of. And I have for the last 4 years, and it's a great place. It's one of the top libraries in the country, and I've been so proud to work with the staff and with the rest of the board in helping it become even better.
everywhere I've lived, the library has always been like the first welcome wagon to that community. It's the easiest place to wander into and immediately start to just feel connection to the city where you are. So when I moved to Pflugerville, I bought my first house. I felt like a full-on grown-up, and I'm like, I want to be a part of the city, and so the library was obviously the first place that I felt that connection with and wanted to go to. So reiterating what everybody said, definitely wanting to give back, and then once you getting involved here with the board, you see how much it's way more than just books. So much more than books and reading, which is fantastic. The backbone of what we're here for, but there's so much more to it in all the other ways that we've been able to provide for the community, especially in the last couple of years, where it's just been, well, everything that was our status quo is not right now, so how do we still make sure the community has what they need? And so it's been great to kind of to be here and see the library and the staff and all the other volunteers besides just us as the board that are, they're here every day helping out with stuff. And so seeing how everybody kind of comes together, it's been really fun seeing this behind the curtain on the board.
Yeah, so I applied to be student liaison specifically because I like my high school a lot. It's a great high school. Henderson, by the way. I'm sure that you know that. And just in general, I'm in love with my community. I'm in love with small government. I think that at a very small way, you can sort of hierarchically affect everything. By small government, we can just make everything better. We can make everything better for the common everyday citizen. We can just collaborate with a lot of organizations that I'm a part of just to make the entire small world that we live in a lot better. And I think that's just kind of beautiful. And nothing really much else to say about it.
I just kind of joined as a community service. I wanted to just help my community as much as I can, especially with something with specifically me, reading I struggled with. I still do because of dyslexia and stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of sort of be an advocate for people like me in that way and help show that it's other kids like me, that it's not difficult or well, it is. It's not something that should be seen as to be scared of, and that it's to just I don't yeah, sorry, I'm bad at wording.
No,
Very well said.
Yeah.
Matt?
What was the question?
Oh, why are you, this is the Youth Advisory Council, and they were curious why you joined the board, what you do on the board, that kind of thing.
Apologies for being late. My name is Matt Robertson. I have a puppy that's in her senior years, so
You can
And-
bring her.
she's senior, so she's not very mobile, and we had an accident that I had to take care of, and then I hit every red light on the way over here. So I apologize for being late. I like helping out my community. I've always been part of the St. Elizabeth's religious education. I like helping out the youth. I've been a Cub Scout leader. I've had 2 children that I've went through Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts as a youth leader. I like giving back to the community. I like coming up with ideas that people haven't thought of. I like approaching things in different ways that that we haven't seen yet, and just trying to make the place that we live in a better place. That's my main reason, because I want to make, I live in Pflugerville. I'm a Pflugerville resident. I want the pride of having the best Pflugerville library in the world. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I joined the board, and that's why I participate in all the things that I do, because I want those things to have the benefit of as many people as you can get, because it's hard getting people to volunteer for things, right? It's hard to get people to sacrifice their precious time. So if you lead by example and you can show the good works that you can get a group of people together and provide for the community, then that'll inspire other people to come out and do it. And so that's my main goal.
I'm Jennifer Griswold. I'm the library director. I've been here 16 years. I started off as the reference librarian,
I love my job. So if you're ever looking for a job that you love, public libraries, you will never have the same day twice in a row, ever. It's a surprise every time you come into work. It's always a lot of fun. Sometimes a little weird and interesting, but fun nonetheless. I think that I'm incredibly lucky to be the director of a library in this community, because I feel like this community is incredibly creative and intelligent and forward-thinking. So we probably have had more encouragement to pursue some of the things that aren't typically library related, because we have such a supportive community and such a supportive administration and council. Daniel?
I'm Daniel Barra. I'm the assistant director at the library. I'm in charge of the electronic resources. I work a lot with local history. We also manage a small local history museum called the Heritage House Museum. And then, of course, 1,000 other things that happen throughout the day. But yeah, like Jennifer said, it's a great place to work. It's a great community to be in, and wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So.
All right, do you guys have any questions? No? Good. All right, then we'll move on to our next item, discussion item, the library director report.
Okay. All right, so the first report of this fiscal year. So your year-to-date and your monthly stats for this year are going to be exactly the same, actually for all years. We are still low in our circulation for physical items, but not terribly low compared to where we came from. If you remember, a couple years ago, we were maybe 9,000 circulations, 10,000 circulations. And so we're back up to 24 now. I anticipate by the end of this fiscal year, we'll be very close to pre-COVID numbers. In-house computer use is going up, but again, I don't expect that to increase substantially, just because most people have a device now that they use. I am still working on getting, with IT, on getting a wireless counter to count the wireless hits in the library. Attendance at programs is looking very good. If you look at our monthly stats for fiscal year 23 versus pre-COVID fiscal year 2019, we're actually higher than we were in 2019. Part of that is due to outreach efforts. Those have been, it was one of the things that both the Library Board and the Equity Commission asked us to sort of ramp up, so we have done that. And we are currently looking at applications for that marketing and outreach person that we spoke about last year. Okay, things that went on last month. Harvest Fest, that was great. Daniel did an incredible job organizing that. That was held at the Heritage House. It's held every year, and it's a festival to celebrate sort of traditional farm life. The fest itself has music and food and everything else, but it's sort of a way of remembering the history of the town, which was primarily agricultural. Small business workshops, again, that was Daniel spearheading that, working with SCORE. There was a series of 3, I believe, over 3 months. Again, this was something that was a suggestion from the Equity Commission that we work on workforce development. And I know that we have also, as a board, spoken about that. So that was something that came off of y'all's efforts in the Equity Commission. Mushroom cultivation. If you go out into our courtyard, you'll see a very tragic looking scarecrow and pumpkin, but they're actually growing mushrooms up there. So the mushroom cultivation workshop is going on. There will be a plant swap coming up very shortly also, and that's where people can bring in shoots and cuttings from their plants and swap them with other people. I have a lot of aloe that I would like to bring. The Pflugerville High School robotics team came and did a demo, and then we had one of my favorite events, and that's Project Runway. And that is where people get to come and make an outfit for their dog. And then they had a virtual runway show. So the maker part was here at the library, and then people filmed their dogs in their outfits and put them online, and it's amazing. So that was the director's report. Do y'all have any questions?
I have a question. How much attendance did you get for the small business workshop? Was it pretty successful?
We had over 30 people sign up for each one, and we had about 10 to 15 show up for each one. So, yeah, but it was a good group, a lot of questions, and the presenters were really good. So.
Yeah, and the topics were interesting. One was lending, right?
Mhm.
One was how not to get arrested. I need to take that one. What was the third one?
Writing a business plan.
Writing a business plan. Yes.
Awesome. Moving on to our next item, our team liaison reports.
Mark, would you like to go first?
There is nothing that the library asked or wanted us to do, so the library's doing pretty good. I checked in last week.
Okay, great.
I've been going sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was just gonna ask real quick. I was out when you came in. I was out of the country. What school are you from?
Hendrickson High School.
Oh, you're both from Henderson. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been in the library every day for multiple days because I go there during intermediary periods. And I've checked in more than 5 times, and everything is fine. In fact, I went today, talked to the head of the library. We have nothing. I gave her my email address. I gave her everything I could. It appears that everything's going incredibly smoothly. There's a couple of projects that people are wanting to seek into the library that I've heard of, but it has nothing to do directly with what we can do for the library. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Speaking of school librarians, I know we were gonna have a dinner. Did we ever do that?
The lunch?
Yeah.
No, they have not. I think they did have a meeting, a small, Daniel, do you remember? That was when Amanda was still here.
I thought we were gonna wait until like right before they restarted the next year or something like that.
I
Yeah,
thought it was before
we're
they
probably talking
restarted
about two
this.
different things. We did not have one with the board in the school
Yeah, I
library. But we did, our former youth librarian did meet with some of the school librarians. And I think they had a lunch. But we have a new youth librarian now because Cedar Park stole my last one. But the one we have now is amazing. And she is a former PFISD school librarian, so she'll have those connections, and hopefully we'll be able to get that rolling.
What's her name?
Diane Sekenga.
I don't know.
All right, then our report on the Friends of the Library activities.
Okay, well, this year is actually the 40th anniversary of the library. We are not doing any big celebration this year simply because it's our first year back with in-person programs, so we're still kind of trying to get our feet under us with that. But the Friends of the Library, who were a volunteer group and still are, were the ones that actually started the first library in 1982. And they did it by raising money through garage sales and bake sales. So that's how the library started. So they are having a business meeting next Tuesday here at the library at 4 o'clock. They are preparing for their next book sale, which will be November 17th. The first day of the book sale, the Friends will be here manning it, and then we'll do the same thing that we've done in the past, where we just leave the tables up, and people can come and take a book, and if they want, they can donate. And then you have set up, is it?
Yeah, I've already reached back out. Before I had to change who would take the leftover books every single time because, one load of books, they were like, okay, I'm done forever. Because it's like 20 boxes of books. But the Travis County prison system loves me, so they will take them she's just gung-ho. She's like, cool, you can come tomorrow? No. I was just letting you know the sale's about to happen, and so they're raring to go. Plus they burn off the CDs to like a universal place that they get access to, because obviously we can't get to the CDs.
When was the next sale?
November 17th.
Oh, and just for, I don't know, record purposes or whatever, we cannot donate the hardcovers to the prison system because they can be weaponized, as I was explained to. So I take them and I make every LFL I can find really happy. I just load little free libraries everywhere, so.
So the books have a third or a fourth life after they leave here.
That's a great idea.
I like driving and I like LFLs, they're just adorable, so. All right, is that all for them?
That's all for the reports.
All right, and then moving on to our consider action item, the annual library policies, 1, 2, and 3, and
Yes.
go on to 4, 5, 6.
I have also included a last-minute policy. We have a new sublimation printer, so that's a printer, and I'm not an expert on this, but don't ask me too many questions, that's it. A printer that will print on something that you can then use to transfer onto like a mug or a water bottle or a t-shirt or something like that. So we do have a policy written for the use of that. It is pretty much exactly the same as the policy for the 3D printer. It just, I believe she just took out the part about anything that could be used as a weapon, because in our 3D printer policy, like you can't print gun parts and that sort of thing, or anything that could be used to hurt a person or an animal. So that's the only thing. I mean, I guess you could hurt somebody with a mug, but I don't think you need that in the policy. So she took that out. So that'll be one of the things that we'll look at when we're looking at 4, 5, and 6. Okay, one of our lovely and talented volunteers actually went
as all things should be.
Apologies.
went through sections 1, 2, and 3 and cleaned up my atrocious grammar and spelling. So I hope that he did a good job. Did y'all get a chance to look at sections 1, 2, and 3? Did you have any content suggestions or changes? Okay, so moving on to section 4. This we start getting into the ones where we had several additions. And I'm sorry I didn't print these in color because I actually had put the additions in red type. But we had spoken earlier about clarifying our challenge material policies by including language that defines the length of time that a decision on a material will stand. And I believe we decided on 2 years, so I put that in there. And also, I thought I had put that in here, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of page 16, on to 17.
Okay, great. I was looking actually for the next sentence under there that the director is the responsible party for the library collection. So I did add that. Underneath that, you'll see the general criteria for selection of materials. This is from the American Library Association's recommended best practices for selection of library materials. So it pretty much runs the gamut. You know, we are a popular resources library, so we're not going to have a lot of things that might be considered classics or you know, we do have some, obviously, but we're not going to have all the, you know, the Greek histories and the myths and all of that simply because we're popular resources. Those are actually available through an online site called Project Gutenberg, and that is a site through the University of Texas that has digitized and is continuing to digitize books in the public domain. So many of those classics actually are free anyway. Nothing changed on the electronic resources. Programs and displays, there's no change on those. That's the same, pretty much, policy that we have for collection development. We want to make sure that we're as inclusive as possible and that we provide a broad range of opinions on different topics, and the same for our displays. Our sexual harassment policy has not changed. I had meant to go through there and make sure that we weren't doing any, we didn't have any biased language in there. And I have not looked at it as closely as I would like, so I plan to do that before December, if you guys would do me a favor and look at that also, and make sure that we're not using any biased language, and that we're not specifying any genders in this policy, because it's a policy for everyone. And that is in line with the city policy for sexual harassment also. That is the longest policy we have, because there's a lot to cover in there. But it does go all the way through to the investigation, reporting of it, responsive action. So for us, for the library, we're kind of in a unique position because we are responsible if our guests of the library are being harassed, either by other people in the library or by staff. If staff's being harassed by other staff or other people in the library, vendors, you name it, because we see so many different people, that's why we have such a lengthy policy. But like I said, it's a pretty standard sexual harassment policy. We do have a pet policy. As you know, we are one of the few pet-friendly libraries. So we do allow people to bring well-behaved pets on leashes. We remind them if the pet is disruptive, they would have to leave. If somebody complains, has an allergy, a fear of dogs or something like that, we ask the pet parent to leave. And so far, everybody's been very understanding about it. So that's been very good. And it makes my day. If you ever want to come when people bring their pets, it's usually Friday. We also have two volunteer dogs that come on Fridays, and they have their own little name tags, so you guys should come and see them. Our service animal policy is just standard. We also allow emotional support animals, obviously. And then our Section 6 support of the library, this is financial support, donor gifts, that sort of thing. Nothing different on that. It's exactly the same.
Still no luck on.
No.
I'm gonna
I
drag
know.
that out for like 2 years. That's gonna be
And,
my,
you know,
that's gonna be my thing.
I keep doing
I
that
wanna get
too.
donations.
She's asking about corporate donations. We accept them, but we have to accept them through the Friends of the Library. The city does not have a standard corporate donor policy yet, but I do believe they are working on one. Okay.
All right, do we have any questions? Yes.
So on 4.2 of section 4, library management, can you explain the weeding process? Like, is it just for like unattractive or unusable books? Like what do you do with them specifically? Like, I'm just curious.
Say it one more time, the weeding of unattractive and unusable books?
What is the weeding process?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what do you do with the book?
Well, the books, if they are still usable, once they're weeded, will go to the Friends of the Library for their book sale, and then it goes through the process of its many different lives after that. Generally, if the book is still popular or is still a useful book, we will replace it with a newer copy. We do that with things also that maybe the copyright is old, because we have certain standards that we have to meet for the state library. So, and I think it's 15% of the collection, but I could be wrong, it could be 5%. A certain percentage of the collection has to be newer than 5 years old. So we're pretty conscious about that. Also with nonfiction, you want to be replacing that pretty often, because information changes, particularly when you're looking at things like health sciences, medicine. So if something is outdated, we will replace it with a newer version. If it's torn up and kind of ratty looking, we'll buy a replacement copy if it's still something that checks out. Otherwise, it just goes into the book sale.
Yeah. Thank you. I think I had like a small, like maybe like an arts and crafts idea. So like with unusable or like books that are aged out, are not like just can't be used anymore. Perhaps this is just like something I'm throwing out there, of course. Making paper with it, just like grinding it up, adding ink dye, making small like, little journals. Maybe that could be a little.
That's a great idea. We do have some program librarians that do book crafts with some of our weeded things. I don't think anybody's made a paper journal cover or anything like that, so that's a good idea.
Or you could do something like the Human Mint. Are you?
I have
familiar with the
no
Human
idea
Mint?
what that is.
You should look it up. They took a book that was kind of derided in history, and they colored out most of the words, but left words, and you still read them in the order, but it's from the original text, and it became a whole nother book. And it's a piece of art / a book now. It's called the Human Mint. You should look it up. I like it. I have a copy.
I've seen that done, and I don't know that we did a program like that, but it's pretty cool doing that to create poetry out of prose. So you would take a prose book and you ink out some of the words so that you create a whole new piece of art. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, do we have, George?
Is there, I was looking, and I can't find it, it's probably in here, but is there a policy about donation books from, say, retired individuals or estates and that sort of thing?
Not specifically.
Do we actually have those? for the library?
On occasion, we'll get people who bring in books because, they're cleaning out the garage or they're
Right,
moving
right.
or it's their loved one's gone into assisted living or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think that our,
I'm thinking, for example, this may go to Daniel's bailiwick, but something like maybe the Pfluger family at one time may
Oh,
want to
yeah.
donate documents and that sort of thing.
we do, actually. We have a digital history project that is online. You can just Google Pflugerville Digital History Project. We have donations from the first families of Pflugerville, and we have digitized quite a bit of that. We haven't digitized everything, but we've done quite a bit. And what we do, because we don't have an archive, we don't have a temperature-controlled, a humidity-controlled, environmentally controlled space,
Right.
to store these documents, what we do is we digitize them, put them in the digital history, and we give the family back their documents. If you look in Daniel's office, we have quite a number of documents that we have, and we're working on digitizing, but we don't have a place, a secure place yet
Do you
to
think-
store those. And these are documents that the family didn't want back or
Right.
what have you, but they're still important to keep. So we do keep them, we have them in archival boxes,
Yeah.
but we don't have the space yet.
Well,
Yet, I'm saying
my
yet.
question goes back to policy, though. Do you think you need a policy about that, or is that somewhere in
We
here?
have a digital, we do have a digital history policy for that, and it's online, but you're absolutely right, I need to incorporate it into these.
Yeah.
So I will bring that back to you.
A quick, just formatting, there's like this last sentence on page 24.
Yeah,
That probably should be moved up, but, and then just in the first sections, most of the titles were all capitalized, but some of them weren't, and we probably just want to be consistent with that.
Thank you, George. Thank
You're-
you.
you're
also,
welcome.
Holly, but thank you for bringing that up, because I do need to incorporate that in here. I bet I need to do the 3D printing one in here too.
Well, that's selfish reasons, too. I got to get rid of my books one day.
Well,
For the additional section on the sublimation printer, is this whole section specifically for the sublimation, or is the sublimation going to be kind of merged into the existing policy of the 3D printer that's in our?
that's a good point. Since they're essentially the same policy, they could just be one policy for both printing types. Yeah, I will do that. Less paper.
All right, anything further? All right, in
agenda? Future agenda, I believe Matt had a future.
Oh, I forgot it wasn't on here. Do we have any future agenda items?
Sure.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I do crossword puzzles, not crossword puzzles, jigsaw puzzles in my spare time. And there's a free Texas Jigsaw Swap Central Texas that meets in Hutto once a month. And they literally, so I joined the Facebook group not knowing, I've been going to like Goodwill and getting puzzles and stuff like that for a couple bucks, but puzzles are expensive. And so they meet in Hutto and they literally had the whole church with hundreds of puzzles. And so they meet once a month in Hutto, and then they have little trunk swaps at Fry's on Fridays and stuff like that, and Taylor. And I was like, well, we don't have that in Pflugerville. It's about, this space right here, and they would need tables set up, and it takes approximately 2 hours. But anybody from Pflugerville would be able to bring their puzzles in, and they just drop them off the table, and they can grab as many puzzles as they want. And just pick them up for free. They bring 2 in and they take out 20. That's fine, no problem. All they ask is that you bring the puzzles back to a future swap sometime in the future. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'll get this one. I'm a member of the same group.
are you?
And actually, when they had the craft swap here, I took all their puzzles and, recycled them through there. Friend of Dennis. Anyway, I already talked to the leadership there about using our stuff here. I was like, hey, you need a swap place, because it would rain or that church would be out.
We can't actually have a discussion on it.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
It's not on the agenda, so you'll need
Sorry.
to bring it back in
Yeah,
December.
I'll bring it back in December. I thought it'd be a great thing for the
No, no,
community,
no.
though.
Okay, so we'll bring it back for discussion in December, and we'll bring back the changes that you guys have suggested on the policies also.
All right.
Does anybody have anything else? Any future agenda items? Nope. Those of you that are reapplying, you should be getting an invite to the December 6th appointment at boards and commissions. It's a special city council meeting. And that's all I have. I hope you guys have a good holiday.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
And a second? George. All right, we are closing out at 18:37.